Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited to have you here. First of all, I am filming this video on September 1 and it's start of the Burr months, guys. And that means September 1 is Hobonichi Day, and also Sterling Ink is opening up purchase of its first tranche of planners. So it's a very exciting start of the month for us planner people. I know you guys have been eyeing those planner companies. I'm not sure if other planner companies are also dropping some things or their planners at the start of September, but it's a very big day for us here in the planning community. And frankly, I am excited myself because I am moving into a new bullet journal. So here I have my stealth edition that I'm finishing up today, September, and I'm moving in to a new bullet journal this particular time in September. So it's very exciting. It's going to be my first time to migrate and start a new book. And I thought to film this with you all so that you can see how I try to set things up. I mentioned before that I tend to do bullet journaling very simple, very straightforward, using Writer Carol's original bullet journal method. And if you haven't checked out How Do I Bullet Journal, that video, which you all expressed a lot of likes for the video and also subscribing to the channel because of that, thank you so much. So I'm going to link that video up here so that you can see how I do bullet journal in that respect. So I'm going to be talking about some supplies that I'll be using for this video. It's fairly simple and I like to keep it that way. Before we get started into the setup itself, I'm going to be talking about this new notebook that I'm going to move into. This is the Bullet Journal Edition 2 in yellow for 2024. This is the official color for this year. This was announced by Writer and his team on Bullet Journal Day, which I believe is August 8th. And so happened that my husband bought this notebook for me because we were in a stationery store that day, not necessarily August 8th, but he surprised me by buying this book. And I'm really excited to move into this new notebook from the Stealth Edition to this one. I think it's really exciting to be moving into a new notebook, and even more exciting finishing up an old one. And here I have the Shachihata date stamp. I shared this stamp in a video of my stationery favorites. I really think this is handy to have with me to stamp some dates, stamp some numbers in my monthly log and in my future log. So there. And we will also be using a Versa Fine Clear stamp in Fallen Leaves color. I like browns, and this one is a dark brown. I've been using this quite a lot in my previous bullet journal, doing all of the stamping for the dates and whatnot. And I'm really looking forward to using this in my new notebook. And we're going to be using these pens. I have a Tombow in this particular shade. And we're going to be using also a matte hop gel pen in a purple color. I recently acquired this and I'm excited to use this for the first time. And I also want to talk about how I set up the headers. I used to use this Copic fine liner in 0.5 to write my headers and stuff, but this time I'll be using the Pentel Matte Hop. And before I was using also a Sailor Hokoro dip pen in a stub nib. And I use a Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo so I can use up my inks and also, play around with my dip pen. And I like how the lettering looks like with the stub nib. But this time I'm going to be using these pens. And I'll walk you through. And I'll also have the Scotch tape, which I will use to tip in a Sterling Ink vellum for September. This is a freebie of hers. So if you haven't yet, you can sign up for her newsletter to get these freebies. So we're going to be also using a B6 standard shitajiki or a pencil board that I use as a straight edge to draw my lines. in columns and header lines, stuff like that. So I like using this as a straight edge and basically also as a bookmark for indicating where I am in my book. So that's all of the stuff that we're going to be needing for this setup. Here we come to this spread where you have the keys to the bullet journal. I'll be adding probably 2 keys on this page, which I use myself, but I'll use all of the keys here. And at the other side of the page, I will write my intentions right below the part where I asked my husband to write a note for me since he got me this notebook anyway. I will write a couple of intentions for this book, how I plan to use it, and what I hope to achieve using this notebook this time around. So here we have the index. I will leave 2 spreads blank because I tend to use the index as I go. So later on, as I fill it up, I will index some of the information on these particular spreads. And we come to the future log, which I will share with you how to set it up. So here I am going to be setting up my future log using my date stamp. But before that, I'm going to divide the page in half using my Copic marker and my pencil board. I'm just gonna find the middle part of this page and divide it up in half. I'm sorry for my microphone wire getting in the way. Oh my gosh. So here I'm dividing the page in half, and I will be stamping in the September dates with my date stamp. Right after I divide my page in half, I'm gonna go ahead and write my September header over here very slowly so that I can make sure I write it in the right spelling and make sure everything is aligned. So there you have it. And then after I write the header, I'm gonna be stamping the September date with my Shachihata date stamp. And I'm gonna get closer to the page to make sure that I don't mess it up. So you can see my head right there. And give it a solid stamp. It's fine. It's a little not even, but I can live with that. It is what it is, and it's my journal. I'm gonna embrace the imperfections. And there you have it. I have my September future log set up. And after that, I'm also gonna be writing the October header, and after which I will stamp the October calendar date right below it. So there, after writing October, I'm gonna be stamping the October calendar right below the header, just making sure everything is inked up and supporting this left-hand side of the notebook with my other journal just to make sure the weight doesn't put too much pressure on the cover. So getting in there, making sure I stamp it really well and pressing on firmly so that the ink catches on the paper. And there you have it. Stamped and ready to go. So I just went ahead and wrote November and December, and here I'm going to stamp the December date calendar with my Shachihata stamp and giving that a firm and solid press to make sure the ink renders well on the paper. There you have it, all set up and ready to go. And then I'm gonna blot the page so the ink doesn't transfer on the other side. I flip it to 2 spreads that I will leave blank because I will put in some collections that are of a very confidential nature, work-related stuff. So I'm just gonna skip that over, and we're gonna be setting up the other part of those 2 spreads, I think on page 16, to set up our monthly spread, wherein I'll set up the actual monthly timeline calendar. But before that, I'm gonna be writing, of course, the September header like so, and then just making sure that I don't put too much pressure on the left-hand side of the notebook. So I prop it up with the other part of my notebook, my old journal, and then I'm going to write the header for September. There you go. Speed things up for you guys just to make sure. And then there you have it. September header written, done and dusted. And then I'm going to be tipping in the sterling ink vellum paper on the other side with the Scotch tape. I'm just going to fast forward so that you can see how I tip in this vellum page. And there you have it, ready to go. So after tipping in the sterling ink September vellum paper, I'm going to be setting up the monthly vertical timeline using my Shachihata date stamp. And as you can see, I am taking it apart piece by piece and stamping all of the dates of that month very quickly. And I prefer actually to have a monthly calendar like this instead of the typical calendar in some planners or most of the planners that we're all familiar with. Writer suggests to use a vertical timeline to serve as a highlight of the day. And to me, that feels like a memory keeper. And I kind of like to do it that way because I don't need to keep a separate memory keeper or to bulk up my bullet journal doing a memory keeping entry and stuff like that. I don't want to bulk up my notebook too much. So this particular style of quote-unquote memory keeping or micro journaling is really helpful for me because I can just glance at everything in one page. And if I choose to read the entry one by one, I can do so, or just highlight or think of a particular day in that month where I want to remember what happened. I can do so very quickly in this format with just one line a day. It's very efficient and very easily maintained. And especially if I am too busy or not in the right headspace, I can, just quickly fill this up very easily. Now, after I have stamped the dates of that month, I'm stamping in the days of the week. So this is where the vellum page comes in handy because there's a mini calendar there and I can refer to it to identify like which particular dates are falling on a specific day, for example. So I don't need to refer to my phone. It's very easy to just take a look at that vellum page. As you can see here, I'm referring to it quite often as I stamp along because I have already in hand that day of the week. I feel like I'm just rambling. I'm just trying to extend my voiceover for this particular video, but it's how I use it. It's how I find it very useful and decorative. I don't really decorate my BuJo all that much. In my other journal, I do put in some stickers, but as an afterthought. But generally speaking, I don't use any stickers. So this vellum is my decoration in particular for my notebook. So every month I tip in a sterling ink vellum page, which is really cool. It acts as a divider as well from the left side of the page to the right side. It's like a cute thing that I tip in and just flip over, like a divider of sorts. So now I'm finished stamping everything. There you have it. And I have to blot out the ink so that it doesn't transfer to the other side of the page. And after that, I'm going to draw a small line to separate one week from the other. And I find that extremely useful so that I can glance at this calendar very easily and identify what week am I in. And just to also have an overview of how long a week is or how long the month is in particular. So I use my Copic marker for that purpose. And there you have it. My monthly page all decked out and ready to use. Now on the other side of the monthly vertical calendar, I'm going to be setting up my monthly important to-dos. So I usually divide that page into two. I write in a header for work, and then here I'm going to blot it out, of course, just to make sure that this heavily saturated ink doesn't transfer or smear. So like I said, I am going to divide the page in half so that I can write the header for personal, because I try to keep at least some very important, top of mind things that I need to accomplish for the month, just to keep me on track with some of my personal and work related things to do. So I put it here on the main monthly spread. And there you have it. Very simple, easy to do. And then blot it out as well. Here I'm going to show you how I set up my weekly page, which is an Alistair method. So I'm going to take my Tombow marker and draw a vertical line there at one column, and alternately draw another line until I have 4 vertical lines. So after I've done that, I am going to stamp in the days of the week, the dates and the days of the week, so that I am able to do my weekly task dump on this page. So I'm just gonna fast forward it to you guys, and just to make sure that I show you how I set it up, just like how I set up the dates with the stamp. So yeah, stamping all of the dates of the week and the days of the week, making sure that everything is done accordingly, because sometimes, when I'm in the zone, I sometimes miss-stamp the dates. I've done that in the last week, so I'm trying to be very careful about it. And as I go, I reassemble the date stamp so it's easy to put it back together after I use it. After stamping, I now write a header, which is the week 36 tasks. Right there, right beside the dates that I just stamped. Week 36 tasks, there you have it. And on the other side of the page, I'm also going to write the header for the date, which is September 2 on a Monday. So I try to do that every day, not ahead of time, because it's how I do it. So yeah, there you have it. The header is ready, and I just blot out the extra ink out of the way. And I'm just gonna use this other pen, which is a 2-line or a 2-ink kind of pen, just to have that accent on my header. And I'm gonna apply it on all of the headers that I have done in the previous pages. There you have it, also on the monthly side. And that's pretty much it. Now that we're done with the setup, I'm just doing a quick flip of the pages that I earlier mentioned, leaving behind a double spread index, which I will fill out later as I go along using this notebook. And here is the setup of the future log with the complete headers and dates. And this is, I'm showing my previous journal and how I set up that future log. I did the same thing of stamping before, and I used some of my old stickers just to give you an idea how I set up all of the other entries in the future log and how it all looks like, basically. So there you have it. I'm gonna fill it up as I go along, September until December, filling up important dates, deadlines, birthdays, and what have you, like what is the future log is all about. And then I'm gonna be leaving these 2 spread as well, as I set up the collections at a later time, as they are confidential in nature. I did mention that I will leave it blank as is until I fill it up. There you go. I am showing what I'm intending to use it for, similar to how I set up some of the collections that I did in my previous bullet journal. Alrighty, and then I'm going to be flipping on to the monthly spread. Here's the completed one. There you have it, the vertical timeline rather, and my work and personal important to-dos for the month. I will list down a couple of important tasks that I'm hoping to accomplish, basically. So I'm going to be carrying over any unfinished tasks that were not done in August. In here you have the weekly page, which is an Alistair method, which will include some task dumps as I go along through week 36, listing down personal and work-related tasks along the way. And I'm going to be showing you a sample of a filled out weekly Alistair method page. If I can just get to the right page. There you go. This is how it looks like. I'm going to be showing you an undecorated one. There you go. That's how I fill it up basically. And the Monday page where I will do rapid logging tomorrow when I go to work. That includes work-related tasks and some personal must-dos. And there you have it. That's the complete setup. And I am actually gonna be writing a dashboard here because every day I do a daily dashboard of sorts, adopted from Writer as well. The SWS stands for self, work, and story of the day. So it's easy for me to quickly glance what has happened on that day when I do my weekly or a monthly reflection. So there you have it. That's how I set up the day for use. And I'm not gonna fill up the other pages for the dates of the week, as I tend to do that as the day happens. So that's how I pretty much use the bullet journal method if you're curious on how I've set up my own bullet journal notebook. So I hope this is very informative to you and you have learned something to adopt to your own bullet journal practice. Thank you guys for being with me on this video, and I will see you in the next one.